Hello and welcome to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. Make sure you grab yourself a brew, sit back, relax and enjoy today's podcast. If you've not subscribed to our channel, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts and get notified when new ones are launched. If you're not following us on social media, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, Gardening with Ben. Also, I've recently been nominated for the Best Gardening Blogger and the Best Gardening Podcast by Grow Your Own magazine. So please try and help me and get these amazing awards by clicking on the link in the description and casting your vote for it. Voting closes at the end of July, so you've got plenty of time to do it, but don't do it until after you've finished listening to today's episode. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's get on with today's episode. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. Well, today it's Tuesday and we have been down to the allotment today. It was fairly cool to start off with this morning, but it did get quite a bit warmer this afternoon, and so I managed to get plenty done down at the plot. So let's tell you what I've been doing down at the plot today. So today we have been obviously weeding, as per usual. There's always weeding to do. I don't think I'll ever get to the end of weeding unless I become a full-time allotmenteer, and I don't think that'll ever happen, not unless I get a big following on here, so make sure you click that subscribe button. Somehow I don't think that'll happen. But yeah, we've been weeding and we've also been sowing the beetroot, which I keep on about. I've finally done that, I've got round to doing it. So we've sown some beetroot straight into the ground. We'll see if that germinates, and then we'll obviously thin them out or move them to an area that is better for them. We've also been sowing some radish. I've sown some radish. I've not grown any yet this year. That's one of the fastest growing vegetables, so hopefully they won't take long to grow. We've also been fastening up my runner beans. They've been in the ground for a few weeks now. Some of them have got eaten and I've replaced them with new plants, which I've got in the greenhouse, which were spares. So we've replaced them, but we've been fastening up my runner beans on canes to hopefully stop the slugs from eating the tops off them. They are under netting, as when growing runner beans you need to protect them to stop pigeons from eating the tops off the runner beans, as they can destroy the runner beans and they won't grow very well. So yeah, make sure you keep your runner beans protected, and obviously you can get great crops off runner beans. They produce so many beans all the way through until October, till the first frosts, probably end of October to be honest, if you do look after them right. And we have also been planting some more tomato plants. I've got quite a few left in my greenhouse, so I've planted them outdoors. Like I said, I'm not able to plant them indoors this year, as I've not got the time to keep going down and watering them, so we planted them outdoors this year. Obviously the crops won't get as good as what they would do indoors, but some crops are better than none, as tomatoes are obviously delicious. I checked on my cucumber. I planted those outside the other week and they're looking really healthy. They seem to be growing, they seem to have taken into the ground, and the stems have not split, which you've got to be careful with, as sometimes they do. And I've also planted some peppers outside. Now I don't think I will get any crops off them whatsoever, but like I said, I have no time for planting indoors and keeping them watered, so I got them spare, so I planted them outside to see how they actually get on and see if we do actually get some peppers. You never know, we may have a heat wave here in Britain and we may get some peppers growing on them, but we'll see about that. I also had a look at my broad beans, as they are growing really well now, and I was explaining to my neighbour I need to cut the tops off the broad beans, as that will then concentrate the broad bean growing where the flowers are and getting some good crops on them, as obviously it's still focusing on growing the plant and you don't want that. You want it to focus on growing the broad beans, and also that's where the black fly congregate around the tops of the broad beans. So cutting that top off will get rid of the black fly, well, as much as it as you can do really. So that's another job done. The next job which I need to start doing down on the plot is building a squash frame. So I'm going to have to find some branches and poles to get all that constructed and built. I've never built one before. I saw Monty Don had built one last year and I'm inspired to try what he's done. Yes, I am up against Monty Don for the best podcaster, but yep, I'm going to try and make a frame inspired by Monty Don, so we'll see how that turns out. And I've just shared a photo on my Instagram of how my carrots are doing. The seedlings are popping through really good now. They're certainly taking off, and I've definitely sown too many in each pot, so we're going to have to thin them out eventually and have a look at that. But for now we'll leave them in there and let them keep growing. And obviously I've been picking strawberries today. I'll be picking strawberries for the next week or so, I think. There's still absolutely loads on the plants, and I've given them a good drink of water today. Obviously you need to keep watering them as they'll start to swell up, but I've also noticed they're starting to send out the runners now as well. So once the runners start growing, you need to start potting them into some soil, leave them attached to the runner until they've rooted, and then cut them free and you can plant them in the ground where you want them to grow. So I'm thinking about moving one of my strawberry beds as it doesn't do well as the other two beds, so I may possibly move it next year, but we'll see about that, because I do get loads of strawberries, but you never have enough strawberries. I'm sure you'll all agree with that. You can never have too many strawberries down at the allotment site. So yeah, that is basically what I've been up to today, and obviously I've been doing lots of watering. It was quite damp, the ground, but underneath it was certainly dry, so it needed a good watering today. So yeah, make sure you tune in for the next episode where we'll be discussing other things allotment based. Also, I'm looking at doing a special 30-day bonus episodes, the countdown to when my voting ends for the best online podcaster and best online blogger. If you've not voted, make sure you do click that link below so that you can vote for Gardening with Ben, because if I do win this will be absolutely brilliant. It'll make my year, and it has been quite a bad year so far. So yeah, thank you for all those that do listen to this podcast. I hope you do enjoy it. Send me a message, let me know that you're listening to it on my social medias, as you can send messages through them. Thanks for listening, and as always, remember, keep gardening. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. I hope that you have enjoyed it, and make sure you do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts and get notified when they do launch. And feel free to follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, Gardening with Ben. And if you do have 1 minute, please do vote for me in the Grow Your Own magazine awards for Best Gardening Blogger and Best Gardening Podcast. The link is below, and there is also a link to our merchandise where you can get hoodies and t-shirts and a Gardening with Ben mug, so check them out today. Until next time, keep gardening.